resolutions. Which we only have one.
I can't find it. Hang on, it's not under reports. It's back. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. It was right there. I just was hoping.
The resolution for the Delaware Tribe of Indians to approve tribal membership, Resolution 2016-45. Whereas the Delaware Tribal Council is authorized by Article 5 of the Constitution and bylaws of the Delaware Tribe of Indians to represent all matters and act on all matters that concern the general welfare of the tribe, and whereas the Delaware Tribal Council is authorized by the Delaware Tribal Membership Act to approve for membership individuals who have been initially approved by the enrollment director as eligible for tribal membership, and whereas the following applicants have been determined eligible by the enrollment director: Catherine Marler, Jacob Rodriguez, Jewel Rodriguez, Carson Burden, Brian Brooks, Andrew Lewis, Devin Galley, and Samuel McMahon. And therefore be it resolved that the Delaware Tribal Council of the Delaware Tribe of Indians does hereby authorize and approve the persons whose names are listed above as Delaware tribal members.
Chief, I'll make a motion. We approve that resolution.
I second it.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the resolution. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? I'm going to get the pleasure to do something right now that I don't remember ever happening. One of those new members is our IT, Carson Burton. Carson, would you come up here and let me get you your tribal membership card? Somebody take Carson's picture. Because as far as I remember, Carson is the first tribal member that we've ever approved that come up and got his card.
Hey, shake hands, Chief, with Carson.
Okay. Welcome.
Huh?
Right.
Well, don't give me this sausage, you know.
I heard that, Brooks.
Curtis, we've got some paperwork here for child enforcement. And I'm not sure that it needs an explanation or a vote, but it'd probably be smart for the tribal council to vote on this.
It does. Chief, the item on your agenda has to do with these two agreements, and it does require some explanation. First of all, this is not strictly for the Child Support Services Program. I just did the legwork because we need to have this new facet to our tribal court system. In the case of child support cases that come on a docket before the tribal court, once in a while we have issues where one of the parties has been involved in domestic violence, or there might be a contempt of court motion before the court. In all other courts, in instances like that, the court typically will have a bailiff, usually an armed law enforcement officer, to serve as a court bailiff. Well, we had our first instance in the child support court docket just late last month. However, whether it's child support or any other matter before the court, there may come a time when the court orders the arrest of an individual or issue a bench warrant to go out and arrest an individual. We do not have a police department, we don't have marshals, we don't have a jail. Therefore, we need to enter into agreements with other government entities that have these things for the purpose of the fact that our court is located in Montgomery County, Kansas, and at the moment we are not on trust land, we're on fee simple land. We must enter into an agreement with law enforcement. So working with our attorney, our consultant rather, Marshall Harlan, Judge Harlan has been involved in this type of matter with many tribes in many different states. I was able to work out for the benefit of our program that she drafted this agreement, one with the Caney, Kansas Police Department, one with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department. But it is an agreement, not with my program, but with the tribe and these two law enforcement entities. With the Caney Police Department, it is to provide a court bailiff, an armed police officer who will be in attendance. Right now, we have a child support docket twice a month. In the contract, it's like $50 an hour for two hours minimum. So at best, it's like a couple $100 a month if we utilize a court bailiff. Now, if we have issues on our court docket that are pretty much routine, that do not require this, don't even require parties to appear in court, then we don't need to be bringing a bailiff in and paying a bailiff. But if we know there are instances where we need to have an armed police officer serving as a court bailiff, we need to have this agreement. Quite frankly, much like you have a sheriff's officer here at your council meeting. So this has been drafted up. It was presented to the district attorney for Montgomery County. Now, at the same time, concurrently, we wrote up an agreement and presented it to the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department. I also went up there to Independence, Kansas, took a little tour of the jail, understood what they have to offer as far as jail services. All of this, folks, is kind of a first time for us, but it's pretty routine to all of them. Again, the district attorney looked at that agreement. He was fine with it. I asked this tribal council to rely on my report to you and the work of Marshall Harlan in the drafting of these agreements. What I did find out from the attorney up in Montgomery County was they are required to present these agreements to the state attorney general in Topeka, Kansas for approval. But they want them signed by both parties. Send them on up to Topeka and let's get a cursory review from them and the green light that we now have an agreement in place. In the agreement, if we utilize the bailiff, the Caney Police Department will bill us. We will pay, and once again, I must tell this tribal council and make it clear, this will not come out of the budget for child support enforcement. This is an agreement between the tribal council and the City of Caney Police Department and the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department. Now on the sheriff's side, if we incarcerate somebody, it's $35 a day. But I will tell you this, I'm not going to speak for the court, I don't have that authority. But we don't want to use the power of arresting and incarcerating someone unless it is a final resort. If someone has egregiously been in contempt of the court for not paying child support, for acting up in court, or possibly presenting themselves in some sort of a domestic violence situation in the courtroom or on our premises. Well, if I was a judge, I'd order their arrest too, but it can't be a bluff. So with all of this lead-in, I'm asking if the tribal council would just routinely approve and authorize the chief to sign these two agreements. We'll get them up to the police chief and to the sheriff. They're just waiting for our signature. They will sign it. We'll send it up to Topeka for a quick review. As soon as we know that these agreements are good, the contracts are in place. If we ever need that, we've got the capability. And then if the bills come in, Gene, they're going to go to your office. So I would encourage a review of the judge's annual budget and possibly put some funds in there to cover contingencies perhaps over the next year in case. But again, I really don't believe we're going to be willy-nilly just starting to arrest people right and left. However, I must let this tribal council know that it's a matter of record. At our last tribal court, we had a 3-judge panel. There was a contempt order on the docket. The individual did not show up. And this tribal court issued a bench warrant for the arrest of that individual. But until I get these contracts signed, we can't go out and arrest him. And I think what we want to do is just compel him to come back to court to account for himself and to get back to paying child support. But we need the leverage that if he doesn't, by golly, you're going to think about it while you're sitting in jail. And that changes people's minds real quick. So I think that's as much of a story as I could give you on the background, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
I will make a motion, we approve the bailiff and jail agreements for child support services.
We authorize Chief Brooks.
We authorize, yes, that we authorize Chief Brooks to sign these.
And I would second that motion.
Discussion.
Annette asked me a couple of questions before the meeting, and I believe we've got them. It's a renewable agreement, and
Annual?
So, yes, on an annual basis, correct.
And I should say that $50 an hour is more than we pay deputy grooms. I know it's been reported we pay over $150 an hour, but it's public record that we paid him $30 an hour. So if you've read anywhere that it's more than that, that was a lie.
I've called the question.
Question's been called on both of these agreements. All in favor of assigning the Montgomery County and City of Katy agreements, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Let the record show that that was 5 yes and